Welcome to another episode of the Online Prosperity Experience podcast. You're about to hear your host, Prosper Taravinga's powerful digital marketing strategies and actionable tactics that you can use right now. Prosper has helped more than 50,000 people from over 10 countries to create meaningful businesses that are profitable and enjoyable. Listen to this podcast so that you too can build your own business with less stress and overwhelm. Let's get started.
The 3 reasons why your lead generation process is not working. I can understand. You're probably out there screaming, cold calling, sending out hundreds of emails and getting nothing in terms of leads that are coming through or converting those leads into customers or clients that pay, stay, and refer. And I can understand as a coach or consultant, this is especially true if you're running a business that is a small business, and obviously you're going to require a steady flow of leads for you to stay healthy. You know what I mean? So it serves well for you to know the ins and outs of what you need to be doing in order to generate more leads, in order for your business to remain profitable and for you to actually enjoy working in it. So while there's a lot of stuff out there, tips, tricks, strategies, and tactics, which can sometimes feel a lot overwhelming, it can be very helpful for you to actually know some of the things to actually just avoid. You know what I mean? When it comes to generating leads, there's a lot that you should know and should do, but there's not a lot of information out there of what you should not do. So I'm hoping that in this podcast, I'm going to be talking about how knowing your audience is key to actually building a strong, reference point where you will be calling the people that you want to serve in the future, and also understanding every stage of your sales funnel and having to actually plan through the whole process so you can achieve a lot more. Let me tell you something, and this is insightful. People do not notice a funnel. They notice good experiences, and that's what keeps them coming back for more. And last but not least, I want you to try not to achieve everything all at once. Otherwise, you'll be filing for bankruptcy in no time soon, because strategy and tactics should be your sort of best friend. And, the strategies and tactics that should be your best friend when it actually comes to lead generation. And I just want you to know that, it's not just you out there that is facing all of this. Even big companies, why the internet, instead of creating connection among the people, it has actually defragmented all that we have known about demographies and things of that nature. So it is now up to us as coaches and consultants to go out there and really create for and relate to the audience that we're going to be demanding money off of. All right. So if you find yourself cold calling potential clients and having them hang up in your face, or maybe you're sending out hundreds of emails without even generating as much as, hey, thank you so much for reaching out, or maybe you're wasting thousands of dollars on ad spend without generating any qualified leads, man, I know it does feel like maybe nobody wants to buy what it is that you're selling. And especially if you quit your job and now you rely on your business to put food and pay rent, man, that could put an enormous strain on your emotions. But at the end of the day, I'm here to sort of help you create a perpetual lead generating and nurturing system that will definitely help you create a business that's profitable and enjoyable. So you might be wondering, wait a minute, what has this got to do with me, and why should I care? Well, if you're passionate about doing work that you're meant to be doing and living an inspired life while you're doing it, then you're in the right place, my friend. The Online Prosperity Experience, is there to help you and guide you to create meaningful businesses that are profitable and enjoyable. And my mission is to help inspired coaches like yourself to actually build a brand that you're proud of and create a lifestyle that you can stand and you're actually proud, of working on. You see, I've been where you are right now, and I pretty much understand because when I first started my online digital marketing business, I literally struggled to generate leads. Okay, I didn't quite know what it is that I was offering, and I didn't quite know what it is that I needed to bring to the table for people to actually listen to me. You know what I mean? And that's the reason why I'm now very passionate about helping coaches and consultants to actually grow their business because I know what it's like to come from nothing. Okay, if you would know my story, see, I was born in a small town in Zimbabwe, in Africa, and obviously for us growing up, life was pretty tough. I didn't even have a lot of money or hope that I would even amount to anything. And, nobody to look up to. We didn't even have any role models. But unlike you, you've got people like us that have been there, done that, and actually, gone through the hardship of trying to figure out how to grow a business that's profitable and enjoyable. So with my start of the business, I just jumped on a plane to Melbourne with nothing but a backpack full of hopes and dreams for the future. So what that meant is literally I knew no one, and I had to work my way through to create the communities, to create the teams that I now have and everything else, that comes along with it. So at the end of the day, some of us are probably starting from scratch. Some of us are probably starting from having had a list of clients from wherever we were working before, but maybe these clients are no longer converting. Maybe these clients are no longer becoming customers, or the lists that we have are no longer lucrative, or some people have moved on. So you're probably starting from scratch. So, like I was saying, when I started my business, I was actually struggling with my lead generation process. You wouldn't be able to believe that now that we've built this magnificent business, but it's taken time, money, and effort to actually get there. You see, I used to work on my desk each a day, but no matter what I tried, I just couldn't generate enough leads to build a sustainable and profitable business. You see, when Facebook in 2016, now you're about to tell how old I am, but in 2016, when they introduced Facebook Live, you know what I used to do every single day at 2 p.m. AEST? I would show up, and do a Facebook Live and sort of talk about a topic and answer questions and things like that. And still, that wasn't even generating any leads. People just were interested in seeing what I was going to say, and they were fascinated about how I was doing it live because that was a new phenomenon. And when the live, sort of thing started becoming mainstream, even grandmothers in Italy were live streaming how they cooked pizza. It lost its own luster. But, I really gained the confidence of, creating content that resonated during those time, but still I wasn't actually generating enough leads that actually were building a sustainable and profitable business. But I've since maybe found out that lead generation is probably one of the biggest challenges that any small business owner needs to sort of unravel, because we're always changing, and the people that we're trying to reach out to are consistently changing, and they're getting smarter, and all the other methods that we used to use before are no longer useful. Unfortunately, I've actually identified 3 to 5 of the most common reasons why service business owners, find it difficult to generate leads. And that's the reason why I said it's better to know what not to do instead of what to do. You know what I mean? One of the things that I know is we are just spraying and praying with our marketing. You're just throwing dots in the dark, I mean, it's really hard to work in the dark, unless you're probably brought up in Africa where there's load shedding, or maybe it's coming to the Western world, with all this power cuts and things of that nature that are sort of creeping into our society. But it's really hard to work in the dark. I think Warren Buffett says it's like trying to wink at a girl in the dark, because most of us are trying 25 different strategies. We're trying 25 different platforms. We're trying 25 different methods. We're trying 25 different niches. And at the same time, if you try to do all of those things, you're definitely speaking to no one, and nobody's going to hear you out, and it won't even help you to actually notice which one is actually working for you or not. So try out one lead generation tactic at a time and figure out what's working and what's not. And what's working, you keep. What's not working, you ditch. All right. And make sure you give the results time to actually unfold themselves, because I think half of the things that we're doing is we are not giving, our tactics, the lead generation that we're doing, time to actually, mature enough to become something of note. Because once you've identified your market and clarified your message, you need to determine the media which you're going to be delivering that message to that market. It takes time. All right. On average, apparently it takes between 10 to 25 times for somebody to actually start paying attention to the work that you're doing, because nobody owes you anything. All right. Nobody owes you attention. So we got to create that attention. We got to create that rapport. We really got to show up for our audiences. And I don't think we're sticking around long enough. You know why? Because we're just dabbling on the strategies that we're supposed to be putting out there. So when you actually have a clear picture of what is and what is not working, you can actually then implement the strategies that actually work, and you stop doing random acts of marketing. You stop wasting time on things that are not working. But you need time for you to fully see a full cycle of a strategy that actually works for you or not. And not mention that, you sure are using strategies specifically for a level of business that you're not yet at. All right. So some people try and just reach out to a mass market before they've even, made it to their first early adopters. You really should know the maturity of the business that you're in, and the maturity of the market that you need, to reach out to, and the maturity of the message that you need to be disseminating to these people. So I can tell you from experience that it is possible to generate consistent leads for your coaching or service, business, when you remove the things that are actually holding you back from achieving business growth. All right. So to help you get started with removing these roadblocks, in this podcast, I've outlined 3 common reasons why your lead generation process is not working. And I've provided a few recommendations, because it's unfair for me to tell you what's not working and then not giving you the recommendations, that you need to then take on in order for you to create a business that's profitable and enjoyable. I want these roadblocks off so you can build visibility, you can build awareness, you can actually start attracting your dream clients and grow your coaching and consulting business. Now, wouldn't that be nice? You see, what's funny now is you're probably looking at me shaking your head and saying, hey, listen, man, how can I compete with people that have already been doing this for decades or for years? And I can understand and I hear your pain, because lead generation is just one aspect of running a successful business. You go from hiring and managing staff, you're balancing books, driving growth, and a whole lot more. And it all feels like a constant balancing act where you're pulled in multiple different directions all at once. But, I understand as well that at the end of the day, your real goal is to help your clients. But how are you going to be able to help these clients if you can't find them, if they can't find you, if you both can't, connect and become buddies, or whatever it is that ends up creating the transactions that you need? And I know you just want to spend as much time as possible changing people's lives and solving people's problems. But whose problems are you going to solve if you can't find the people that need problems solved? All right. So, what you need to do now as a coach or consultant, like for real, you need to show up. All right. What you're doing right now is you're not showing up, consistently. You're showing up inconsistently or not at all. And the reason why I'm saying this is because you might think you're doing it all. But if I can ask you, what are you doing in terms of podcasting? What are you doing in terms of partnerships? What are you doing in terms of speaking? What are you doing in terms of being on directory listings? Are you networking enough? Are you in any membership groups? Are you on LinkedIn? Are you on Facebook? Are you on Google Ads and things of that nature? And you could be asking me and saying, hey, Prosper, we know you're not on social media. Of course I'm not. And it doesn't mean I personally I am on social media, but my team is, my business is. Are you showing up enough in order for you to actually raise awareness about your existence? Because people will only, support a wall that they helped to build. What are you doing in terms of being there for the people that need you the most? By showing up for them. All right. So I bet right now, bottom dollar, you are showing up inconsistently. And the first step in every lead generation process is to create visibility. All right. You have to be seen beyond reasonable doubt and awareness. For your service business, all right. If you know what is called reticular activated system, you want to use it to your advantage. Right now, if I start talking about the color yellow and putting reference to everything yellow around you, guess what? If you start looking around you, you start noticing your brain starts pulling and picking up all the yellow things that are in your environment. That's exactly what happens when we show up for our customers. They start seeing our brand colors, they start hearing our message, and it starts becoming real to them because our brain is a goal seeking mechanism. All it does is it avoids trying to concentrate on every aspect of what's happening in our environment. There's so much that it can be looking at: the clouds, the color blue, the roof, the wall, the lights, the computer screen, all of that stuff. But if you focus your brain onto one thing and you continuously give reference and a touch point, that now tells your brain that, hey, maybe this is important. And that thing that is important, it starts getting filtered through, and you start listening to that sort of message, or following through with that sort of person, or that advisor and things of that nature. So if you are showing up, you're literally showing your credibility, you're literally showing your expertise, and people will start filtering you through all the other noise of all the other Me Too producers out there. And if you want to generate leads consistently, then you're also going to need to ensure that you're creating awareness on a regular and consistent basis. Okay. Now, while it sounds like, you need to show up consistently, many coaches and small to medium businesses and some consultants, they struggle with this because they may be a one-man operator. And I understand. All right. And one of the main reasons why people hold back to maybe, showing up is they find it challenging to show up online consistently because they don't have stuff to bring to the table. And it's because maybe they have fear, or their ego is just telling them, maybe you're not good enough, or they're afraid of what other people may think, or maybe they fear that they might look silly, or they might make a mistake. Like right now, I'm unhinged on this podcast. My brain is like 500 miles away, but you know what? I'm still with you. I'm connected. You know why? Because I know my message. You know why? Because I know what you need to hear, and I know what it is that I need to be snitching on. All right. So fear will actually stop you a whole lot more because you're much more smarter than you give yourself credit. So if you fear showing up, being in front of your audience, then it's likely that you're focusing too much on you, and your business, and not enough on your clients. I want to ask you a question. Who are you to stop Sally from getting the health, the wealth, or the relationship advice that could make her life, better? You know what I mean? Like, if you are that selfish, then you don't definitely need to be in business. So I actually recommend you try to make a shift in your thinking. It's not about you, bro. It's not about you, sis. All right. Start focusing a lot more on what your clients need from you. And you definitely want, your target audience to ask you what they want from you. Okay. So sometimes when you feel like, hey, what am I supposed to be putting stuff out there? Here's what I normally do. I look at what I'm embarrassed with, or what I'm struggling with right now, and what I am doing about it. And then that now creates content, which basically means somebody must be going through, that particular problem. Okay. And that connects you a lot more because you're being vulnerable. You're not actually just saying, hey, look at me with nothing to show for it. All right. So you want to make this shift in your thinking. Start focusing more on your clients' needs, and what it is that they need help from you. Because if you're there to serve your clients, then you will actually start helping them. And you won't be thinking about how you're showing up and coming across. If you look at some of my first videos, man, but I didn't stop. I kept going, you know what I mean? Because I was still trying to find my feet. It wasn't about me, it was about my clients. It was dingy, no lighting. I dare you to check out some of my early content, you know what I mean? Because if you're there to serve your clients, you want to start helping them without thinking about how you're probably showing up or how you're coming across online, you know what I mean? Because another reason why a lot of coaches and consultants struggle with building consistent, sort of showing up or brand awareness is because they're short on time. They haven't, done the whole time management thing around, the lead generation, then the service provision and all that matters. And maybe their business hasn't been optimized enough for them to actually create content. Guess what? Every single day I show up at 12 p.m. You know why? Because I've created my calendar like that. No matter what happens in and around my business, 12 o'clock is reserved for the podcast. So if you're struggling with a lack of time for marketing, then I would actually encourage you to consider some sort of automation or get a VA or just really organize yourself, because your market is waiting for you to show up consistently. And if you're not showing up, then guess what? Somebody else is eating your lunch. Okay, so I'm hoping that we've really touched on that showing up aspect, because the more you show up, you become familiar to your audience, and familiarity sort of breeds likeness, and people do business with those they know, like, and trust. All right. And number 2 is, are we there already? Jeez, we're gonna run out of tape for this podcast. All right, so let's just go through this. I think your branding and messaging is not cutting through. All right, you can understand there's so much noise there, on the online space these days. There's people twerking. You can't go past, twerking and not stop and see what's going on. Like recently, I actually noticed a video that went viral. Apparently, there was a unicorn that was pooping rainbow ice cream. Ugh. I don't know what people were thinking, but that's the stuff that your audience is being exposed to. So your business branding and messaging really needs to cut through if you want your lead generation process to actually work. You need to really cut through that noise and mediocrity that's out there. And to start with, I actually recommend creating maybe a style guide. If you notice all the stuff that we put out there, it's purple and orange. Like, you can tell from a mile away that this is a Live Long Digital podcast or something to do with Live Long Digital, because we've got a style guide. I've got a few VAs that I work with, but each and every one of them adheres to our messaging, our tone, our colors and things like that. You know what I mean? Because once you've got your colors, your fonts, your logos, and the types of images that you're going to use in your marketing, it creates that consistency that people yearn for. All right. So you actually then stay on brand, and then you start creating a memorable look, and that look and feel that people are always looking for, because people are busy with their lives, from watching pooping unicorns to then concentrating on a brand like yours. There has to be some sort of consistency, and you may want to consider your business brand values and the sort of tone of voice you want to use to ensure that consistency, because people are not going to wait until you figure it out, bro. You know what I mean? So when it comes to your messaging, I actually recommend creating, your clear positioning statement that you use over and over, that describes what it is that you do, who you help, and why people should buy from you and not your competition. Do you see why I keep repeating the same things usually on my podcast? And I think it's now becoming like a broken record. That is me branding. I'm actually creating what's called sonic branding, where you're literally associating my voice, the way I say things, and the tonality, in order for you to associate with good feelings that then emanate after you laugh or after you get a good brand experience from Live Long Digital. That's the reason why I get paid the big bucks. All right. So once you have this clear positioning statement, then you'd want to repeat it often to remind people about you and your business. And guess how you do that? email marketing, podcasting like this, blogging, videos, all of that stuff. That now creates a reason for you to show up. That now creates the consistency that people are yearning for in their news feed, and then creates that stop scroll that says, oh, wait a minute, I remember from watching this video last week, I actually went on and implemented and got value from it. Let me watch this again. All right. So sometimes it takes a lot of times for a person to see and read a message before it actually starts to sink in. Just because you're getting tired of your own brand, it don't mean that Sally, who's seeing you for the first time, has even got to understand what it is that you are doing and who you do it for. So while it can feel a bit boring for you to keep repeating the same thing, it's actually working to reinforce and boost your marketing efforts. People are busy. They're not just sitting around there waiting for your email to come through. They're not just sitting around, waiting to be invited to your, networking event or anything of that nature. People just want to be constantly reminded while they're on the way to go to whatever it is that they love doing. All right. So the last thing is, I think you're too reliant on a few marketing channels. How often are you showing up in front of people, and what leverage are you using, especially with the technology that we now have? Okay, so like I show up on this podcast every single day. This podcast becomes a blog. The blog becomes social media posts. The social media posts are now distributed to 12 or whatever different channels that we have. It's only one piece of content that has been replicated so many times and repurposed into something that can be useful within the business. So stop relying on just one marketing channel. Sometimes I see work that we did 5 years ago being posted again because we've got all these repurposing tools. And I'm like, wait a minute. Was I saying this 5 years ago? Is it still relevant? And if it is, then voila, there it is. All right. So half of the time, referrals are often maybe a fantastic source, for us to get business. And that's where we think word of mouth is working for us. But you need to give those people ammunition. What are you giving, those ambassadors of yours out there, to then spread the word about what it is that you're doing? I've also seen that many new coaches and consultants and some small business owners, they actually struggle with their lead generation process once they've exhausted all the referral opportunities in their existing network. Remember when I said when you started your business, you probably left away not with just a stapler, but with a client list, right? A lot of us did that. Not me though, but I know if you're a coach or consultant that used to have a 9 to 5, you left with at least something. Some people live with sticky tape. Some people live with stationery. Some people live with laptops. I don't know what you left with. Some people live with lists and things of that nature. But when you start going through those lists and then they no longer are relevant, then that's like grand opening, grand closing for a lot of people. So for this reason, it's actually important for you to create a marketing plan that includes at least 3 to 5 different marketing channels to be generating your leads. So this whole broader scope will actually ensure that you increase your reach, you've got more visibility, and you've got more people that you can be starting their journey with them. All right. So if you've got a buyer's journey, it usually takes between maybe 3 months to 3 years until somebody converts. What are you doing in between that time to stay relevant, to stay top of mind? So there's a lot of other channels that you can actually consider, and I'll be talking about them as we go along with this podcast. But one of them is probably your business website. Is it actually helping you? Because your business website is your 24/7 sales machine. Your social media profiles are also there, but they are not complete in and of themselves, because social media is where all the traffic goes to. You want to drive that traffic back home with you. All right. You use, your Facebook, your LinkedIn, whatever it is. Are you email marketing? Are you podcasting and blogging? Because each and every one of those creates new content, creates new conversations, create communities and audiences, because the internet is just predicated, or is just a bunch of very smart people that are congregating, communicating, sharing content, and having conversations about the things that pay you money. Are you part of any of those C's, the conversations, the communities, the content? If you're not disseminating any one of those, then you're missing out on a whole big chunk of money that you could be putting in your pocket. Are you speaking? Are you presenting at workshops or events? Are you speaking at podcasts? Are you doing guest posts on other people's podcasts? etc.? Are you in online directory listings? Are you in networking groups? Do you have memberships that you're part of? Are you a part of any association? Do you do any paid advertising on Facebook, on LinkedIn, on Google Ads? Are you tweeting? Are you on TikTok? Or public relations or media interviews? Any of those things should be actually putting you out there, leveraging whatever you've created, and then just really amplifying your message. But it has to be consistent, bruh. Are you doing any partnerships, any collaborations with any other businesses? If you want to collaborate with the Online Prosperity Experience, you're welcome to reach out to me. Yeah? Let me tell you something. If your lead generation process isn't working to deliver enough leads for your business, then I recommend taking a step back and review what marketing channels you've been working with, and those that have been working for you, and those that haven't been working at all. Because if you need to generate a lot more leads, let me tell you something. You need to really, really create for and relate to your audience. Yeah. Let me ask you a question. What could a lot more demand for your services than you are receiving right now do for you? Would you be able to raise your prices? Would you be able to fire all those lousy clients that don't align with your values? Or would you only choose projects that you actually love working on? Or would you expand your business? Yeah. Every sort of coach, consultant, or small to medium business that we end up working with, they just dream of that perfect customer that arrives from seemingly nowhere, already convinced that they want to buy. And when all it inevitably fails, they just blame whatever strategy they use to get those leads and then post a few memes on social media, and then they wait. Let me tell you something. Without a steady demand of a lot more buyers, you're going to have to accept all the work that comes your way at the price that literally wins the job, at the terms that have been set out by the buyer. And that's not a good way to live. Yeah? I mean, how do you feel if you actually get potential clients to come to you instead of you trying to find them? Yeah. Well, if you reach out to me and we can work together, I can literally start working with you so you can earn trust before your sales process begins. I can actually help you design a self-guided path for customer engagement, and then help you build a sales funnel that actually feels itself what you're doing, what you love, and you can literally respond effectively just to the best opportunities that you want to work with. Okay. I want you to grow profitable sales. I want you to literally create for and relate to the audience that is demanding, money off of you. That is my only way that I can give back to the world. So there you have it. 3 of the most common reasons why your lead generation process is not working to drive enough leads. Okay. So when you remove these roadblocks and focus on developing a marketing strategy, and you actually have a plan that increases your visibility, you'll be way on your way to having a lead generation process that works. I hope you found this podcast useful and helpful in determining, where you have gaps in your marketing plan, and what you can do instead to generate more leads from your dream clients. Bye for now.
Thank you for joining us today. If you have any questions, let's continue the conversation in the Live Long Digital community. Become a Live Long Digital community member today. This community is for ambitious entrepreneurs and small business owners with the drive to take control of the future of their businesses and achieve huge success without stress and overwhelm. As you heard, Prosper can help you by teaching you marketing strategies that work. So look no further than the Live Long Digital community of entrepreneurs and highly successful business owners. Join our community today. Find us on www.community.livelongdigital.com.au. Network with other driven entrepreneurs and find the expert guidance you need to take your business to the next level. www.community.livelongdigital.com.au